Hi guys, welcome to Hope with Jonathan podcast. And on this podcast, we will share the patient's personal story with battling kidney disease, dialysis, transplant, and more. Guys, we'll also share stories of hope and encouragement for those that are in need of a living kidney donor. We will also advocate for them, a living donor, to step forward to give them the miracle gift of life of transplant. Guys, based upon my personal near-death experience with kidney disease, I started this streaming show called Hope with Jonathan, and also this podcast, Hope with Jonathan Podcast. Guys, if you want to hear more stories like this, please stay tuned. So who is Jonathan Traylor? And what is Hope with Jonathan? And what is Hope with Jonathan podcast? What is it all about? Guys, listen. I based my show, Hope with Jonathan, and the Hope with Jonathan podcast around my personal journey, my personal story with battling kidney disease. As you guys, most of you already know that I had a story that was a near-death experience based upon kidney disease and kidney failure. And, it was a very, very eye-opening experience, life-altering experience that caused me to completely change my life. If you want to hear more, stick around, because I'm also going to cover what's going to happen in the near future, guys. I'm actually have some exciting news that I'm going to be telling you guys about, okay? So stick around for this next episode with Hope with Jonathan podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to another podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Traylor, and this is Hope with Jonathan podcast. Guys, I definitely appreciate you coming on and supporting this podcast and listening to my podcast. Definitely appreciate all the feedback, the love, and the shares. So, guys, who is Jonathan Traylor? Jonathan Traylor is a kidney advocate. Based upon my personal experience with kidney disease, battling kidney disease, battling type 2 diabetes, battling hypertension, I ended up, unfortunately, with an emergency case of kidney failure. It started off as AKI, they call it. Ultimately was diagnosed as stage 5 ESRD, end-stage renal disease. Ended up going to my local emergency room with some symptoms. I had been, sleeping a lot. I had been completely fatigued. Wasn't taking care of myself properly. Believe it or not, I was actually exercising, but wasn't losing any weight. I was walking. It was a struggle to walk. As a matter of fact, I was having a lot of problems walking. I was getting to a point where I couldn't put on my shoes. Food started to have a very odd flavor. And I began to have a lot of problems with memory loss. My family noticed some changes to my attitude, and they would try to discuss things with me, and it was all related to kidney disease. I was suffering with brain fog. Again, very fatigued, sleeping, thought I was fighting the flu, ended up in the emergency room, had to be stat flighted in a helicopter, about 20 minutes in a helicopter down to San Antonio, Texas, for basically emergency dialysis treatment. It was a very traumatic event in my life, and it was a turning point and a changing point in my life. Very dark moment, a very scary moment. But I'm not bitter about it at all. As a matter of fact, it was a very eye-opening experience for me that caused me to, when I came out on the other end and ended up surviving this traumatic event. I had a 2-week stay in the hospital, about 3 days in the ICU. When I came to in the ICU, I was, strapped to a bed. I had tubes and lines, cords and cables, all strapped to me. And, I was intubated, so I could not speak. And I had a lot of different things that was, a surprise to me. But I ended up ultimately, coming out on the other end of it. It was a very eye-opening experience for me. So I ended up leaving the hospital 2 weeks later and on hemodialysis, which I had a catheter in my chest, the permacath. And I ended up in center at DaVita doing hemodialysis there on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for 3-hour treatments. And I did that for around 10 months, and then I ended up progressing to home hemodialysis. And I did that with my wife. My wife was my caretaker. She did all the sticking, and we stored the supplies here. We organized the supplies. We had to go through all the training that DaVita provided with us, and learn the procedures, learning how to be sterile, and things of that nature. There was lots of steps, lots of things that we had to do, lots of prepping for the machine, things like that. But it was well worth the experience because it allowed me to do dialysis on my time, and also it got me out of the center basically around the same time of COVID. When COVID really hit, I was able to avert having to go in center and do my dialysis. With all that being said, everyone could look at my situation and say, I could have walked away from this and had a negative view and negative aspect on things, but my whole thing was I wanted to learn as much as I could, but I also knew that there was a reason why I was still alive. And I knew that there was a reason that God spared me from, dying. There was definitely something more that I was supposed to do. And there was a reason. God had a plan the whole time. I'm just trusting His plan. I'm trying to walk in His plan. And based upon my experience, I wanted to utilize my personal story to help other people. And I wanted to try to save other people from going through the same things that I went through. Whether it be through education of diabetes and hypertension, or even, education regarding kidney disease. I wanted to learn as much as I could. So I began to research online, and, Google became my friend. I started Google searching everything. I started, looking up kidney disease and FSGS and lupus and all these different, things like, kidney dialysis and the purpose of kidney dialysis and how it worked. And I was looking up things researching on transplant. I was researching on the factors of kidneys and how they worked and how they, help control, your blood pressure and help filter your blood and, and all this stuff and all these different, terms and terminology and medical terminology based around kidneys. By no means am I a scholar on it, or I don't have a degree on it, or, I'm not in the medical field. But based upon what I went through, I wanted to learn what exactly happened to me. I started asking a lot of questions at dialysis. So when I was going to dialysis at first, it was kind of a intimidating situation at first. There was a lot of patients in there, and I just wanted to get through it as quick as possible. I was basically watching TV. They had these little monitors in there that you could actually watch cable, and while you were on the machine. But the thing was I wanted to have the opportunity to get some education. So I noticed the nurses would set up the machine, run this tube, put the dialyzer on, and hitting this button for this, and this control for this, and typing in numbers and writing stuff down. And I began to be interested in, hey, why are they doing this? What are they doing that for? And I wanted to become educated on it. So I had a couple of nurses in there that I actually asked a lot of questions and a lot of different things. Wanted to just grow and just learn and become knowledgeable of it. So I had a couple of techs in there and actual some great nurses that were in there that would actually answer every question that I ever had on it. Whether it be, what's the purpose of the dialyzer? How does it work? What is dialysate? What is the IV bag solution for? What is heparin? What is Venifer? All these different things that would go on in dialysis. Your venous, your arterial, all these type of terms were very interesting to me. I just became really engrossed in wanting to know more and more about dialysis. And anyway, through that, this became more of an educational situation for me. And then, of course, in August of 2020, after going through all the dialysis in center and then going through home hemodialysis training, I ended up getting a transplant in August of 2020, during the midst of COVID and all these things that were going on. I got my transplant on August the 11th of 2020 in San Antonio's Methodist Specialty and Transplant Hospital. It was an amazing experience, great staff there, amazing staff there. I have an amazing nephrologist there named Dr. Kapterchek. He's awesome, has an awesome bedside manner, a very knowledgeable nephrologist, and I trust him. My whole team, have a whole team of dietitians there, and actually a pharmacist there, and the nurses there, the staff there. They're just all great, and I've had a very positive experience with that whole team. But I'm telling you all this to tell you this. There was a reason why that I made it. I easily could have passed at the hospital local here. I easily could have passed at home. I easily could have passed in a helicopter ride. I easily could have passed in the emergency room when I made it there, and my heart went into VTAC because of my potassium. I made it for a reason, and I had this sense of, I need to do something with this. I need to utilize my story and use it for the good, for the positive. So Hope with Jonathan started to evolve, and I did not have the equipment for it. I did not have the knowledge of even really how to get it started. I had done some interviews with different kidney advocates and educators. I've been on Steve Belcher's Urban Network. I've been on Jared's The Warrior's Quest show. I've been on Kidney Stories 2 with Jim Myers, Uncle Jim Myers. I've been on Kent Bressler's Kent's Kidney Stories, with Kidney Solutions. I started with I signed up with Kent. And I'll give you guys sometime. I'll give you guys a podcast on kidney solutions and talk about my experience with Kent Bressler. I'd love to do that sometime. But by meeting Kent, I ended up doing a podcast to share my story, and then by that gave me the platform, the opportunity to meet with Jim Myers, and then I ended up meeting with Jared Brown, and then I met with Steve Belcher, and then I actually, after transplant, ended up meeting with Jared Brown again and doing another show on the Warriors Quest show. And, from there, I realized that, I was like, man, what do I need to do? Do I need to tap into, starting a podcast maybe? Or maybe I need to write a book. Or maybe I just need to be a blogger and blog. And, the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to evolve this into a podcast and also do the live streaming shows as well. And I said, you know what? I got a great idea. I want to just focus on kidney warrior stories. And I want to be able to help share other people's stories to help them get the miracle gift of life of transplant. And I realized that there was a great need, and there wasn't enough people out there that were really doing that, other than, who I've already listed and talked about. And those guys are amazing, and what they're doing is amazing. But, I wanted to, basically, my whole show is not about education. It's more about sharing the personal stories. And through those personal stories, we can educate and bring awareness and advocate, for different aspects. But my main focus was to start Hope with Jonathan, was to start something positive and try to give hope to other kidney patients who were in need of a living kidney donor. And it's kind of hard to grasp that concept or about people's story by just sharing a picture. I really think there's a personal connection that you can make from a picture or a short video, but there's something special about listening to someone's personal story, personal journey with kidney disease and battling kidney disease and going through this dialysis and waiting for transplant. And there's just so many things that go along with it. And I was just blessed enough to receive my transplant. It was a total miracle. And I'm not going to go into the full story on here today. I'm not going to share that because that's not what this podcast is all about. But I wanted to shed some light on the reasons why I started Hope with Jonathan and the live stream show, and then also this podcast. This is a platform for me to be able to share my personal experience and to help advocate for other kidney warriors and share their personal journey, their personal story with battling kidney disease, battling dialysis, and battling the wait for a living kidney donor. So Hope with Jonathan began to evolve, where I began to actually get opportunity to interview some other kidney warriors. I was able to get a hold of some different ones that we were actually advocating for, along with my good friend Jeff Brown, who's also a kidney advocate, and he's seen that I was sharing some of the posts that he was doing. He was making some amazing looking posters for kidney warriors, a living kidney donor, and actually advocating for quite a few. And we kind of joined up. He messaged me one day and we started talking, and from then on we just kind of been talking ever since as friends. We've just been like, we had a lot of things in common and just different aspects of different softwares that we were talking about, and different things in common that we both had a passion to help people, and both had a passion to help people that were in need of a living kidney donor. His wife has a personal story as well with kidney disease and kidney transplant, and so that's where we had a connection. And then also his twin brother is Jared Brown, so that's the connection. And we ended up kind of joining up and advocating together. And then Hope with Jonathan was formed, and Jeff was a huge supporter and backer of that, and and we talked about what we could do and how we could make the show a little bit better. And believe me, guys, it's still growing. It's still a work in progress. It's evolving. But I first started off in my living room with just as my fireplace as a background, and I didn't have the greatest equipment, just my phone, which you don't have to have a whole lot of spectacular equipment, but it's best that if you're going to try to do this the right way, you need some decent equipment. And so things started to evolve a little bit here and there, and I was able to I got a hold of a tablet, and I was able to start utilizing my tablet, streaming from the tablet. So I'm able to stream with the tablet and do all that, and make the show as exciting as possible. Kidney disease doesn't have to be bland. It doesn't have to be boring. As tough as a battle as it is, it's not a fun experience whatsoever, and it should never be looked at in spite of or as a fun event. Anytime you're talking about kidney disease, it's a serious ordeal. But the shows don't have to be boring. The shows can be entertaining. So that's my goal. My end goal for Hope with Jonathan podcast is, number one, I want to be informative. Also want to be somewhat educational, but also I want to be able to utilize this platform to share and give hope. That's what the main goal of Hope with Jonathan is to give hope. Hope is so important. It's so important to hang on to, especially when you're going through a traumatic event such as kidney failure. I mean, for any failure, for that matter. I mean, any type of disease is traumatic. But the show's mainly about to help people with kidney disease, and so for me, it's about giving that patient hope. To hang on to the hope that they will one day receive a kidney, whether it's by a deceased donor or a living donor. Okay, we want to see a living donor come forth and help some of these patients to, receive the miracle gift of life of transplant by a living donor. But if it doesn't come by living donor, then they'll end up getting it, by deceased donor. And I'm okay with that too. But the main thing of the show is to share the patient's story, to spotlight the patient's story. It's all about the patient's story. It's not about me. It's not about Jonathan. It's not about my story. It's about sharing the patient's story. We want to be, mindful of sharing the patient's experience. And it's not about growing numbers either. It's not about numbers. It's not about being profitable or any of that stuff. None of that stuff matters to me at all. I could care less about analytic reports or any of that as far as numbers. Do I care if people watch the show? Yes. But I'm not chasing numbers. I am not about chasing numbers for ratings or any of that stuff. It's not about that for me. Personally, this is about actually helping people and being beneficial. Um, on the flip side of that, I also want to do quality work, and I want to do, I want to be efficient in what I'm doing. So I don't want to be a hindrance or a waste of time, So I want to be, mindful of the craft, and also I want to be a benefit to other advocates as well. So I want people to be able to say, hey, let's talk with Hope with Jonathan. Let's talk with Jonathan Traylor and see what he has to say, or let's get some advice from Jonathan. I want to be like that guy that you can go to. In the future for me, Jonathan Traylor is not only a kidney advocate, but he's also, a family man. I consider myself to be a family man. I do have a wife of, we've been married now for 19 years. This year will be 20 years, of marriage. And also we have two children that are, my son's 18 and my daughter's 16. And, so I love them dearly. They're the reason why I'm still here. They supported me. They helped me. They prayed for me. They believed for me. My wife really became my real life personal nurse. And she used to, she really had to learn a lot. She really had to grow and develop the skills to be able to become my home dialysis nurse. And it was a struggle. It wasn't easy. It wasn't always easy. It wasn't always roses. It was a tough situation that, I put my wife in to do that. But she wanted to do that because she loved me and she supported me. And my children also were very supporting of me doing home dialysis and understood the situation. And, that's a great thing about family. I had a great supporting family. Not only my family here, but my outside family. My mom, who is a very religious, a strong-minded, strong-willed lady, woman of God. She's a prayer warrior, and my mom believes in the power of prayer, and she's a great inspiration in my life. My mom raised me and my hearing impaired sister, Jamie, and she did a great job with what she had. And we grew up and things were tight, and we faced some tough times and some adversities. But my mom is a staple in my life, and yes, you can go ahead and say it. I'm a mama's boy. But I love my mom. I love my mom dearly. And but my mom, she prayed for me and she believed for me. And, she put the word out. Like, she told everybody, please pray for my son. And I had so many people that were just contacting, people I didn't even know, that were praying for me and believing for me to come out of this ordeal that I was faced back in July 8th of 2019. That was the day that would be forever branded into my brain as July 8th, 2019 and August 11th, 2020. I probably should get those tattooed on my arm somewhere. Those are dates that'll forever stick out in my mind. But, I just see hope with Jonathan just continue evolving. And we're going to be doing some interviews coming up in 2021. I've already got some, in the works. And we're going to be continuing to grow and evolve. And the podcast as well. This podcast, I plan on for this podcast to just continue to evolve and grow. And again, guys, I really appreciate all your love and support. And I have some exciting news. And I hope you guys will stick around this podcast to find out what my exciting news is. Hey guys, I definitely appreciate you guys sticking back around for this final segment of this podcast. Who is Jonathan Traylor? And what is Hope with Jonathan? And what is Hope with Jonathan podcast all about? I've got some exciting news. 2021, my buddy, okay, first of all, we met in 2020, okay, but my buddy Wills Porter has a podcast called the Joy in the Journey podcast, okay? And I actually just ran across it on Facebook, and he was interviewing Alex Barros Jr. Is a patient that I actually advocate for. He's from Louisville, Kentucky. Guys, you can check out his page, A Kidney for Alex Barros Jr. And anyway, I ran across Wills Porter's podcast, and he did an amazing job on this podcast that he did with Alex, and I was really inspired to reach out to him and talk with him. And after I talked with him for a little bit and realized we knew some of the same people, Edward Drake with Why Not, and even though I don't really know Edward personally, but I know of him, and he knows Steve, and he knows Jared, and he knows different ones. So we got to talking, and I was like, he knows of the same crowd, that I was affiliated with. And so, we got to talking and realized we had a lot in common, even though he is a liver transplant patient. And I won't begin to explain Will's story. He has an amazing story. Actually, you can watch it on my YouTube channel, Hope with Jonathan. I actually interviewed Wills Porter, brought him on, and he did an amazing job. He's very articulate. He's very intelligent. He also wants to be a social worker. I believe he's trying to get hired on somewhere soon. I know he's been submitting his resume. We kind of talk. I would say if weekly, if not every couple of days or so. We're either shooting somebody a text or shooting him a message on Facebook. But nonetheless, man, Wills Porter, guys, the Joy in the Journey podcast, okay? I got affiliated with Wills. And brought him on Hope with Jonathan. And we got to talking more and more, and I realized Wills told me, he said, hey, I'm starting a media company, a new venture, and it's called Impact America Media. And he told me all about it. He explained in great detail what it was all about, and then he, gave me the great honor of telling me, asking me actually. He wanted to ask me if he could feature Hope with Jonathan podcast on his website and become a part of Impact America Media. And, and I was like, you know what? This sounds like an awesome opportunity. And yes, it's fresh. It's new, guys. It's something that's going to grow and continue to evolve. And right now, it's just at the beginning stages. But he's young, and he's got a great spirit about him. He's got a lot of charisma. He's got a lot of he's got a lot of drive, and he wants to do something positive and give people hope. So I knew once I talked with Wills, and once I interviewed with Wills, and we've talked some more, shared some more, I knew that this was a great connection for me. And so I took some time to think about it. I have a lot on my plate, a lot of different things that I'm involved with advocacy things, and just advocating for different patients, and doing the Hope with Jonathan show, and doing a podcast such as this. But I realized that it was a great opportunity, and that I should get back in contact with Wills. And so I'm actually announcing this on this podcast, that Hope with Jonathan podcast is now affiliated and basically in partnership with Impact America Media. So if you go on their website, they actually have a website, and I'll share it on the podcast description. I'll share the link to the website. Uh, I will be featured on there along with his the Joy in the Journey podcast. Okay, I'll be featured on there with Wills Porter, and his podcast as well will be on there. You'll actually be able to go on there and listen to my podcast, and as I add new content, I think it's going to upload to the website as well, from what I understand. So this was just an amazing opportunity for me to branch out and join forces with him. He's got the same goal that I do. He's wanting to help people. He's wanting to spread awareness for organ donation. And even though he's not a kidney patient, he's not a kidney warrior, but he's a liver transplant patient. This guy's faced a lot. He's went through a lot with his experiences with having a liver transplant at a very young age. Like, again, I won't begin to even share his story. He shared his personal story on my live stream show, Hope with Jonathan. But like I said, you can go to YouTube and watch it. But Wills has an amazing story of overcoming and hope and encouragement. And this guy's faced some adversity in his life, but he's an overcomer, and he's doing something positive. So, like, again, this is basically just a clip here with ending this podcast. I'm letting you guys know the exciting news is in 2021, I have now teamed up with Impact America Media with Wills Porter. And if you're interested in possibly, getting involved, you can definitely contact Wills. He's on Facebook. He's Wills Porter. You can definitely reach out to him. He's a really, really nice guy, and very informative. And this guy's going to do some huge things in the organ donation world. He's definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with, and I'm just I'm sitting back and just waiting for what he's going to do next. So I definitely appreciate the opportunity, Wills. Want to let you know, if you get a chance to listen to this podcast, I definitely appreciate the love and the support, man. It's definitely a positive, positive thing, and I believe it's God ordained. I've also got some other God ordained people that have been in put in my life and have influenced me to want to continue to do works like Hope with Jonathan. But guys, you can find me at Hope with Jonathan. You can find me on Facebook at Hope with Jonathan. You can find me on Instagram at Hope with Jonathan. You can find me on Twitter at Hope with Jonathan. You can also find me on YouTube, Hope with Jonathan. For 2021, I actually wanted to change all of my media to Hope with Jonathan. I had it as Hope, Give the Gift of Life. And it's not that I didn't want to use that anymore, but it was becoming confusing because the show was actually called Hope with Jonathan, and all of my pages were Hope, Give the Gift of Life. And where that stemmed from was my original kidney page was Hope for Jonathan, Give the Gift of Life. And that's how I was advocating for myself on Facebook. But I realized after I started, Hope with Jonathan, that I would turn it into Hope, Give the Gift of Life instead of Hope for Jonathan, especially after I got my transplant. I no longer needed the kidney page anymore, so I turned it into Hope Hope, Give the Gift of Life. And then I realized after I started Hope with Jonathan and called the show Hope with Jonathan, it was becoming confusing. So I knew it needed to be addressed, but I wanted to wait until the beginning of the year to kind of address it, because I had already started the live stream show, and I was like, well, everybody thinks it's at Hope, Hope, give the gift of life. And see, even with me talking about it, I'm starting to, kind of stumble over my words and get confused. So I decided, and, through contact and through commenting and feedback from other advocates that I'm, friends with, they were like, yeah, man, I think you're heading in the right decision. What you need to do is, for sure, change it all to Hope with Jonathan. That way it alleviates, all confusion. So again, that's the reason why for the name change was everything now across the board is Hope with Jonathan. As a matter of fact, you can even find me on TikTok. I'm on TikTok now at Hope with Jonathan. So, guys, I want to let you guys also know in 2021 I plan on developing my website. My website was based upon my kidney search. Basically, it was a website that was built to advocate for myself, a living donor. I also had some other pages on there that I kind of special featured on there was kidneysolutions.org, and I also featured some of my interviews, some newspaper write-ups. I was actually in the local newspaper here at Hill Country Community Journal here in Kerrville, Texas. Featured me actually twice, once before my transplant to help advocate for me, and then also they did a story on me after I had my transplant. So it was those type of things I had on the website, but I want to turn my website in 2021 into a full Hope with Jonathan website that'll feature episodes of my show, and also some advertising for the podcast, and then also it's going to also be a way to advocate for other patients. And I'll probably feature, different things on there. You guys be in watch for that. There's going to be a Hope with Jonathan website as well. But hey, guys, enough of the plugging for me. I'm basically wanting to give you guys this podcast to kind of keep you in the loop of what's going on with Hope with Jonathan. I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a backstory on me and kind of tell you guys a little bit more about, Hope with Jonathan and the podcast, and a little bit about me personally, for those of you that don't know me already. But I also want to tell you where I'm at currently, and then we're going to end the podcast. But right now, where I stand is as I'm at really close to 5 months of post-transplant. So far, all my labs are doing excellent. I'm actually, doing really well. I feel great. I've had to make some adjustments for the medicine regimen as far as, taking the immunosuppressants and all that, and doing the regimen that I do daily. But now that I'm close to being 5 months post transplanted, it's become really more of a routine. So, I'm organized, and I've got my medicines, down to a science. I have basically a pill organizer, and I keep it all separated. And, I've got a box for my medication, and I know exactly what I'm taking, and I know when I'm going to take it. I actually have, this is a great tip for those that are possibly going to be transplanted. In the future, you will definitely need to be organized with your medication. So, this is one of my tips is I set my phone alarm for when I take my immunosuppressants. And so when my phone goes off, I know that it's time for me to go take my meds, which even in the back of my mind, I know it's coming because of the routine. But it's also, a great way to, remind yourself is by setting your phone alarm. So just a quick little nugget that I thought I would drop on you. But guys, I appreciate you sticking around for this podcast. It's been an excellent podcast. I've really enjoyed expressing myself on this podcast, and appreciate all the love and support, feedback. Again, guys, you can find Hope with Jonathan pretty much everywhere. And guys, I really appreciate the support. Also, go check out Will's Porter, the Joy in the Journey podcast. He's doing great things, guys. And again, Hope with Jonathan podcast has teamed up with Impact America Media. So I look forward to in the future of doing more of these podcasts. And guys, stick around, and you never know what I'm going to do next, and possibly who I'm going to interview or what I'm going to record. So, hey guys, I appreciate it. Y'all take care. Stay safe. God bless. And take care of your kidneys.